So getting ready to go live here. We're almost there. And I think we're live. So I'm just going to take away this overlay. And welcome everybody. Streamyard is the easiest way to create professional looking streams. But some people like me like to go the extra mile. This show is for the streaming geeks out there that are all about the streaming technology. This is Streamyard Tech Talk. Get your questions ready because this show is all about the live Q&A. And today we have a great guest. See you right after this intro. Hey everyone, so glad to have today with me. Oh, I need to put him on the screen with me. Tristan Griffiths, who owns Nobit9, which is a repurposing agency, all about video repurposing. So we'll talk about repurposing video. That'll be the focus today. But as always, I'm going to let Tristan introduce himself a bit, and then I'm going to ask him to show us his tech setup and his studio setup. Tristan, welcome to Streamyard Tech Talk.
Amazing. Thanks for the intro, Daniel. It's really good to be here. So for those who don't know me, if you haven't seen me actively in the StreamYard community, maybe you're seeing StreamYard streams for the first time. I'm Tristan Griffiths. You can find me across all the socials as I'm Tristan G. And as Daniel's just said, we run an agency called It's Nomad 9. And our big focus is around removing the overwhelm from content creation, social media, and live streaming. So helping to get ideas out of your head and out in videos and blogs and social content. So that's what we do. And I do a lot of live streaming myself. When I'm in full flow and we're not planning for next year, I actually do 6 live streams a week around business in the morning. So that's a little bit about me.
Fantastic. So before we get on, I'm going to let everybody know we've got a couple of cool activities today. So if you want to join us live, here on the stream, make sure to use the hashtag #AskToJoin. So ask to join, and we might bring you in to ask a question, or we might where's this here? Let me remove this banner here. So clear. Oops. Ask to join. Let me tweak this here. Ask to join. Ask to join if you want to ask a question live on air with us, or have a comment or want to share something. We'll try this out. Try and make this a bit more interactive. Another thing is you can use the hashtag ask so that way we make sure to see you in the comments. If we have a ton of comments in there, sometimes the sub-threads in the comments, and we don't know if the question is towards us or towards some of the other audience members. So make sure to use the hashtag ask. And if you use the hashtag #LoveStreamYard, you might win a StreamYard mug. So Tristan will pick a winner at the end of the show. That's all of the comments. So Tristan, let's dive into it. I would love to see for you to show us your desk. Here we go. And
so I cheated a little bit, and it's not actually live. So I've taken a picture and set it as the background just so that I could show you the whole thing whilst I'm moving around. So we're in a bit of a unique position in the fact that we live actually in a little place called the Village. So that gives you an idea that technology and internet might not be like in our favor. So I'm going to run through a couple of bits of my whole setup, and then I'll show you a couple of interesting things that you can see here. So obviously quite a tech geek. You can see that I'm currently running. I'm going to use my cursor to highlight for you. I've actually got 2 27-inch iMacs. So this is the main one that I run day to day on. Above this one that's on the desk, I also have a 27-inch screen just above my camera. So I have my 27-inch, a Sony A6000, which is running through a USB capture card. So it's, again, we're teaching people. So we have some quite expensive equipment, but we also have some quite cost-effective equipment to show people that you can get a capture card for about £20 here in the UK, eBay's, Amazon's type thing. You don't have to go for an Elgato expensive piece of kit. We've tested and tried them. We've tried lots of different pieces of kit here. So on my set, I am using this. I've got obviously the fallback of the iSight camera on the iMac as well. In the background with the beautiful mountain ranges and stuff on, that's just a Panasonic 42-inch TV. Now the color is very different, so it's good to be aware when you're designing what's going on there. And on the desk, you'll see there's actually 3 mobile phones there. But if you were to look actually up at the top here in the top left, there's actually another mobile there. And it's currently in use as we're speaking now in exactly the same position, because a lot of people don't realize with the tools they've already got, they can do a lot more than they're currently doing. So when you're live streaming and you're using your camera or your webcam or anything like that, think about what else you could be doing. Could you record a time lapse behind the scenes? Could you record a different angle, maybe in portrait, ready to go straight to stories, which is exactly what's happening now. I've got my main camera here, and then I've got stories going on here. I've got a portrait over here and a time lapse, because I'm lucky in the fact I have multiple devices. But realistically, most users have an old mobile phone and they're not using it. So either to use it as a second StreamYard camera or to use it for some behind the scenes content is always a really good idea. Talking equipment again, this microphone, this beautiful gold, it's a fair few comments. It's actually a really cheap microphone. We bought this for about £25. It wasn't a lot of money at all. So equivalent's like $40, I think, US. Again, it's not about obsessing about the tools. It's about what's within your budget and focusing on those kinds of things to make things better progressively. All the important stuff, drinks on the table, make sure you're very hydrated and you don't have to leave streams to go and get drinks. You can see there's 3 drinks on my table. So it's crazy there. There's actually 2 sets of headphones on the table as well. So I'm currently wearing the Sony that you can see on the table there. And just behind it, and I'll bring it into the camera, is actually a set of wireless earbuds as well. So I can wear them underneath. So if I need a second audio coming through, then we can do that. So if I needed to talk to someone or listen to something else, that can work. So I want to context this. Someone asking about, do we need all this equipment? The reality is you don't need it, but it just allows you to, again, work where you are. I've done stuff where my morning broadcasts start with my mobile phone, just my mobile. I might set up in StreamYard and then I go live outside, maybe not now in the UK, it's a little bit cold, but when it's warm, I might go outside, do my streams outside and get it going. So I can control everything from my mobile. I just set it up on the desktop and then I'm good to go. Like in the back end of my StreamYard, I have Daniel will attest to this, because we've had a couple of meetings and I've been like, cool, let's meet in StreamYard. And it's another application. It's not just live streaming. We record our meetings. And we use that because we can actually keep a track and record those meetings to go back to later. Obviously, they need backing up and stuff, which I'll touch on a little bit later. Again, important stuff, just looking after yourself, staying hydrated, lots of colorful pens on the table, keeping notes, although I'll show you some tips on how you can do that quicker as well. But yeah, that's kind of my setup. The one thing that I haven't shown that Daniel and I were just having a chat about before we came on, I said at the beginning, I live in a place called The Village, which indicates that the internet's not going to be so great. I don't know how many people noticed that there was actually something outside of the room that was vital to the setup that was inside the room. So in that visual that you saw a minute ago, down here in the bottom left-hand corner, this is actually a £100 battery pack that we bought from Amazon. It's a non-branded, but it's powerful enough to basically run a mobile phone for about 4 days without plugging it in. And just off shot at the top is a mobile phone on a car sucker mount that was about £6 from Amazon that is currently running 70 meg up and 40 meg down connection. So again, mobile connection, 4G connection, and you can do that. So that you don't need to have the most complex equipment, so you can work with what you've got. So there's quite a lot going on there. There's a lot. The one thing obviously didn't touch on is obviously there's a ring light up here, and this mount here allows me to put a second phone in for another angle. So again, portrait, landscape, the original recording. So you get 3 different versions. Try and get more out of what you do without having to do it again. So if you can record 2 or 3 versions at the same time, it'll allow you to do a lot more.
That's amazing stuff. That's awesome. By the way, I lose audio connection sometimes. So if I'm a little slow, don't worry. Give me a second. So we do have a bunch of questions here. Let me just jump back into the normal screens. So I'll start with the questions here. I love this question. Where was this? Here we go, from Jennifer. How do you organize and store all these videos from multiple angles so you can find them again? And you obviously have a ton of videos because you're really into repurposing. What's your file organization system?
So we use cloud storage. The secret is to be organized in when and how you back those things up. So it's not so much about necessarily where you back it up. It's about having an organized system to go and back it up and make sure that it happens. So many people, they wait to the end of the week and then they've got, hundreds of gigabytes of files that they have to move around, and it's slow, even on local machines. There's one thing in that picture that you wouldn't have seen. We refer to it as the hard drive toaster. It's a docking bay for hard drives, but we run off a solid state drive because it's more stable, it's more reliable. But we actually store all of the data into the cloud. So we actually, I'm going to talk about Google Workspace and why we pay £8. I think it's like $15-20 a month for you guys in America, and it gives us that massive amount of cloud storage for not very much money that we back everything up to. It's powered by Google Search. So as long as your file naming convention is good, so she asked about going back to it and finding it afterwards. Going back to find that content is good file structure. For us, every file, so today's recording and the behind the scenes and everything will be the date in reverse format. So 2020 12/08, Streamyard Tech Talk, then both our names. So I can search for my name, your name, Streamyard, Tech Talk, or the date. And it gives me all of those search parameters to go back to. Obviously, the trusty little portable hard drives and stuff on the desk as well. We've got, to give you an idea on data, I said running on a mobile connection allows me to track how much data I'm putting through the connection much more easily. So putting that data through, I can tell you in the last 3 days, we've put about 150 gig of data through the mobile connection just in the last 3 days, because every meeting, every live stream, every behind the scenes is going up into there. And I don't always do behind the scenes because in lockdown, after 8 months, 9 months of it, the office looks the same. There's only so many different angles you can get. So, but it's the things we say. I've been mentoring a group of businesses that we helped this morning, like really early this morning. And one of the things I said there is, are you recording your calls? Are you recording your meetings? Ask people when you're helping them, advising them, can I record the call? It's good for them to refer back to. And also your bits of it can be used as content. Like you're giving advice to people and you're helping people, the content's there. It's not just the live stream. We use StreamYard in quite a unique fashion like that we have our meetings here. Like we have meetings, we do our mentoring in here. Being able to have 10 people in here means our group mentoring happens in StreamYard. And we can back it up, and we use a backup process today where it goes away to, we actually stream it to a location so that it's got a second backup, fail safe. Mm-hmm. So making sure you've got it. So yeah, there's lots in the process, and it's about set the process once, make sure you follow it, and make sure that you label things correctly so that you can go back and find them later.
Yeah, I'm into that, because with having a process set up is key, and then you can also scale it because you can tell people, here, do this, then do that, and they don't have to be pros at everything. And it just these things that took you a while to get figured out, all these little details, you just tell people just do it such and such a way.
A lot of the things that smaller businesses make the mistake of is, I'm working on my own, so I don't need to write the process down. You should write the process down when you work on your own so that you can move it up, so that you can pass it to someone else. Like we've talked about, like I wrote, StreamYard's easy to use, but there are still a lot of questions that come up regularly. So we wrote a StreamYard guide with screenshots and stuff in it, which is in the community, just to answer a lot of those questions and to be a resource for people so people can go and look at it. The same is true of all the softwares that we use. We try to make it as easy as possible. The same is true of work on your own, write the process down for your own reference, but also you can't outsource it to anyone else if you haven't, or you can't bring a new team member to do it if you haven't written the process down.
Right. Okay, a couple of follow-up questions here on this, and then we're going to bring in Frank live here, who's going to be waiting in the green room for us. So Frank, we'll have you in just a minute. So Lillian was asking about how do you record 2 to 3 versions? So I think she means the 2 to 3 cameras. How do you actually get the recording of those?
Okay, so can you just bring the desktop up again, and I'll show people how I'm talking about that. So on here, obviously I would be live. You can see I'm in a StreamYard application on the Mac at the moment. So that would be the original recording of the actual stream or the conversation where I was having a meeting. Up here, just in the middle of the ring light, this suspension arm here allows me to put a mobile phone in portrait mode, so story style format. And all I'm doing is I'm just recording there. Like I could, if I wanted, use it as another camera. So if I was doing a presentation for StreamYard, I could use it as a second camera, but it's more likely to be in landscape for that. And then up here, there's a piece of kit that's called Iographer, that basically is a mount for my phone. My phone clips in and I can film. So I'm filming a landscape, a portrait, and I'm live. So it's the fact that I've got a couple of extra pieces of kit. But the reality is most people have a second phone. If you've ever upgraded in the last 6 months and the phone sat in a drawer, get it out the drawer, plug it in and charge it, and then it to go take that second or third use of it.
Wow, I'm seeing here a strange Chrome bug. Because if I have 2 Chrome tabs open, I lose my audio. So I'm going to stick to 1 Chrome tab now and just deal with it. Okay, so I asked in the community yesterday, I showed a picture, and I'm not going to be able to show it now because I have this bug that's going on. So you'll just have to trust me on this. And I'm going to bring Frank in with us to talk about what I was showing in the community. So I showed sorry, Frank. So I showed a photo of a cable in the Streamyard community group. And I asked, what is this cable? So it's one of those cables. It looks like an HDMI, but it's got a little angle only on one side, and the other side is square. So if you can imagine it, it's kind of like square. Well, ignore me. And I asked what cable is this, and Frank had the answer. And we wanted to hear a little bit from Frank about this and his opinion about this type of cable.
Can I jump in and see if I know what the cable is? Because I think I vaguely saw it. Is it a mini DV cable? Because it looks similar to the one that I used to use for my Canon. So
this is where scale has an effect. If you zoomed into it, it may look like a mini DV, but it's actually a DisplayPort cable, which you would use in the back of most modern PCs, just to frustrate you, because it's almost an HDMI cable, but it's not quite. Yeah. So a lot of times I've been in a situation where I'm trying to set something up really quick for a comedy show we're about to put on, and I grab the wrong cable, and I'm like, oh, great. Now I'm through. So my big kit of dongles and adapters and whatever is just essential. And I knew that cable very well when it popped up.
I have the same with you saying about having everything there. So you can see like one of the white Kallax IKEA units behind me. I actually have a 2 high one that runs all the way down here. That's got all my cables in, and they're in separate things. So if I need a phone charger, it's definitely in that box. If it's, a display one, it's definitely in that box. It narrows them down, because anything could go wrong in while you're live. Those things could go wrong, and if they can go wrong, they probably will. So being able to fix it quickly, jump into mobile, which I've seen, exactly the same.
There you go.
I have the same bookshelf in black, and my box of adapters and what have you. So essential, really, if you're going to do this, and I don't think StreamYard makes it very easy to do this quick and dirty. We work with a lot of comics who they have their cell phone. That's it. They maybe have a laptop. We have to get them up and running, and this works. But I don't think it's possible when you start playing around with it not to start expanding out in your toys. So yeah, having the box of dongles, and this is DisplayPort to DVI. I don't know which DVI, but who would ever need this? I have it just in case.
Yeah, so any of us Mac users, we never use it, we never need it. So maybe Frank, just give us a very brief bit, and then we'll get back to the program about what's the benefit of a display for if you happen
to be honest, this is where the computer science people are going to get very mad at me. I'm not entirely sure. I think it's about refresh rate on the screen. that it's slightly different than when you would plug a TV in and use it as a monitor. Most PCs can use an HDMI TV as a monitor, but the refresh rate is off. So if you ever sat there staring at your TV a few inches away and it hurts, that's why you would want a specific display screen, an actual monitor for your broadcast. And DisplayPort makes it easier and better to display that information.
Okay.
One of those things, Daniel. Sorry, Daniel was saying about the display and Apple people not having that problem. The problem Apple users have instead is when they go to speak at conferences, they turn up, they don't have the adapters for Macs. Quite often people turn up and then they have to, that's another reason. So when I talk about using Google Workspace, backing up to there means if I get to a conference to talk, I've got everything on slides. I want to work from my computer because I know it, like the back of my hand, and there's no drama. But it means because it's in the cloud, I can just log into someone else's machine that's already set up if I need to. So it gives me that versatility. So cloud storage for that.
Very neat. Yeah.
We have a question for Frank, actually. So Bill is asking, nope, sorry, that was the wrong one. Here, David is asking, what mic are you using? Because he says your audio sounds really great.
You know what? Again, being in this for a while, I have a lot of I've spent so much money on equipment and mixers and mics. This is I think $30 mic I got off of Amazon. It probably doesn't even have a name. If I had to guess, it may be a lot of the cheaper ones are newer mics. And it looked pretty. This wasn't plugged in for a while. It was literally just a prop we were talking into. And then one day I was like, what happens if we just plug this into the mic port? Not even through a mixer, just right into the mic port. And it worked. And it sounds pretty good. And when we teach our students, I do some podcasting courses for Montclair Film, little plug. And I teach them, don't go nuts with your equipment purchase. Just get something that works and try it out. Yeah, so I think this is a newer mic on Amazon. You can get it for $30.
Beautiful.
You can definitely go crazy on the kit list. It's about working with what you've got and slowly upgrading. Don't go crazy for it because you might think you need a lot of stuff because you see other people with it. But I always give the example of Gary Vaynerchuk because everyone says they want to do stuff like he does. But you've got to remember he's 16, 17 years down that journey. And you're at the beginning of your journey, look back to his first thing. And literally, if you took your mobile phone out, in fact, I've currently got my Instagram going on at the moment. The quality of the camera and the audio there is way ahead of his first broadcast, just because the technology has already got better. So you don't need to necessarily jump as quickly as you think.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is Frank, I'm just going to give you a chance to just tell us a bit about who you are, just introduce yourself to the audience, and then we're going to get back to the program.
All right. Sounds good. My opportunity to plug. My name is Frank Ablawi. I predominantly work for an entertainment website called non-productive.com. We put on comedy shows. Pre-pandemic, we put on comedy shows live basically every week, comedy variety shows. And we did podcasts. Post-pandemic, we can't really meet in face-to-face anymore, and we tried out a million different tools to find the right thing that would get audience engagement. That's the big thing missing with live shows is there isn't a good way of getting people's input. Even if you allowed people to keep their mics on and be in the audience, there's a delay, and it's never great. Streamyard, on the other hand, that pop-up commenting is beautiful. And it's just, I swear, our comics or our performers love it when it comes up and they get to answer a question or riff on the audience or what have you. So, and it's not just the live shows we do. Again, I said that we teach classes for Montclair Film. One of the podcasts we produce is about the Honeymooners. I don't know if you're familiar with the infamous Honeymooner show.
Yep.
And we did a special live podcast with video on StreamYard for their 39th episode. It's a big number for Honeymooners fans because there were only over 39 episodes of the show. And for the first time, all these fans from all across the country were able to come in and participate by putting up their trivia questions and trying to stump our hosts. It was great. And the interaction is just, you can't beat it. I love the platform.
That's fantastic. Maybe we should have you at some point come in and show what you did. But for today, we're talking about repurposing. I would like to get back to the show. So thank you so much, Frank, for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And thanks for sharing with the community.
Just before we jump back, Daniel, I just wanted to, Barbara Edwards is actually on, she's just put in the comments that she's on StreamYard because we introduced her to it, but she also asked a question a little bit further back about how easy it was to go live from like mobile device, because obviously I mentioned about that you can go directly live on mobile, so you don't have to do anything on the computer. For me, because I add in banners and overlays and things like that I want to use from my mobile, that's obviously the only reason I start at the computer. You can do the whole thing from logging in and doing it there. Like you can get that going within the mobile. A couple of things that you have to go through a process. So I have iOS and Android. So I feel the struggle on both of them, that, you know, you have to go through the right process with each, and even your operating system will determine how you access it. So as, like all the directions come up on screen. So, you know, copy the link, open it in Safari, for example, and go across. It shows you how to do it. I run Chrome on all my devices because you'll understand later when I talk about workflow that because we use Google Workspace, or some people will recognize it as G Suite because it's changed names recently. Because we use that, we also use Google Chrome natively because it's all the data going through the Google. So through all the Google applications, because we're Apple, right, we use Apple primarily. My own preference is Apple for devices, Google for software. So that kind of direction, and it all just talks together really well if you've got it seamlessly together.
Cool. Okay, great. So just a quick reminder here, you know, that the ask to join, if you want to join us, we might do another one. And a question for you all. So what is your number one way you repurpose your live streams? We're about to talk about repurposing now. So this is a big deal, right? We go live, we do the live, we walk away, and we don't do much more, right? But we can do some more with it. All the hard work already went into the live. What about all the repurposing and get the extra benefit? So tell us in the comments, what are your ways that number one way to repurpose your live stream? And that would be awesome to see what ideas you've got and share them with the community. And Tristan, since you're an expert in repurposing, let's talk a little bit about how you repurpose videos for your clients, for yourself. What it is you do, and maybe show some examples, because I know you do some really cool stuff.
Okay, so I personally want to jump back. Even before you go live, you need to look at the pre-broadcast as well as the post-broadcast. Repurposing is really important, but you need to promote it. Daniel said the live is difficult. Let's put work in around it to get the most out of it. So we want to make sure that we're doing pre-promotion. So have we created graphics that can promote it? Have we using StreamYard set that up beforehand so that we've got a link we can give people, remind people to go and click that get a reminder button, or turn on the notifications on YouTube, depending on the platforms. Not every platform allows you to do it, but those little things are really powerful. So a lot of people don't announce their broadcast until, you know, maybe the day before. And what they need to look at is, if you give people a longer period to know about your broadcast, you're going to get a better viewership, you're going to get higher numbers, people can get that reminder. The kind of opposite to that is if it's too far out, people kind of forget about it, which is why you need them to have that reminder and to nudge them through social to make sure that they know. So that's pre-broadcast. We're talking about the broadcast side and repurposing. Obviously we can go live. StreamYard's made that super easy, from mobile, from desktop, whatever, across all the different devices. And Guy Porteous, I know, is in the comments here. He's in a cookery show. There's a little joke. He's actually in the mentoring I did this morning, and it came up in conversation that I first met Guy at a networking where I was talking about live streaming and recording that video and putting it out. And I made an assumption, so never assume anything, that he'd be the least likely person to go and do it. And by the next morning, he'd gone and done that video, and it was up online. And a great friendship has developed. And we were talking about that. And now he's in the stock taker, so he's in the hospitality industry, which has been massively affected. But he's live streaming using a tablet and a mobile, nothing else, no computer. And I showed him how to do it really quickly. He's got one sat in literally open the kitchen cupboard, put the tablet in, so that's the one for his face, and then he has another angle over the cooking, which is his mobile phone in a mount, and he's able to control the whole thing from the tablet. So the mobile side is easy. So getting to that stream, what do we do beyond it? So now we've got the stream, we've done a bit of promotion, we've told people, we've put the graphic up, we've got them to hit the bell and subscribe and all of that. When we get to that broadcast, what do we do afterwards? Like Dan said, it's really, that's the complicated bit, is doing the actual stream. It's hard to get, you know, when you first start out, there's a lot to think about. How I'm going to keep the conversation up if people aren't there. What do I sound like? What do I look like? Just remember that you're having a conversation with the audience. As soon as you remember that, and this is just a way to have that conversation, it becomes easier. Do the live, but when the live finishes, StreamYard's recorded it for you. So what can you do to take that and reuse it, repurpose it? For example, with this broadcast, 30 minutes, maybe an hour that we're going to talk today, how many little one-liner nuggets where someone says, oh, that's a great idea, I never thought about doing that. Or I didn't realize you could have meetings in StreamYard and record them. Or how do I store them? All the conversation we've already had in the broadcast today, how do we then take it and use it beyond that? So Gary Vee, obviously being a good example of how this works, is he gives one keynote and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pieces of content appear from that keynote over the next few months. It's not complicated to do.
Yeah, so Tristan, why don't we jump right into it and show how it gets done? And I think because you really do some amazing work there. Okay, we got a screen share going.
So
nice.
Obviously, running here, this is literally what we do. I've been doing this for about a decade, and I did this to solve my own problem of how do I create content while I'm teaching, while I'm speaking, while I'm doing my own like bits for my business. And that means that it's because it was suitable for me on my own, it's suitable for all businesses. You start with video. So the very top that talks about video topic generation, super easy. I'm going to show you, I'm actually going to whistle through Daniel's, but a specific request in that I give you as many tools as possible to work with today. So it might be a bit overwhelming, but remember you can watch the replay and you can go back to this. And actually I'm going to reward someone from this. I'm going to drop this in now, Daniel, actually, if that's okay, about this whole process. I'm going to run for one person who is watching this either live or on the replay in the next 72 hours. And in order to get in and have a chance of doing that, two things I need you to do. One is hit the share button and use the hashtag SYTechTalk when you share it, because I'm going to go to that hashtag and I'm going to look across the platforms. And there's also a web page that I'll drop below the video afterwards, where you can just go click the button and you can get involved in that, and I'll share that. But I wanted to give you the opportunity to start sharing it now so that you've got an opportunity to get me to take your live stream and run it through this whole process. So you don't even have to do it. I'm going to take a live stream, improve it, and put it back in the community so everyone can see that I'm not just talking about it, right? So getting into it, topics, we're going to go through this really, really quickly. So one of the tools that we use that runs from Google Search Console is a tool called Answer the Public. If you put a topic in here, it basically runs off of Google Search Console to give you what questions people are asking in your industry. So for me, quick search social media, scroll down, here's all the questions that are being asked currently based on search volume for my industry. So I don't have to guess. I create content answering and having the conversation with people who are looking for it, right? It's particularly relevant to do this for your videos if you're repurposing it, because Google wants to index your video. It wants to index your content that you put out and show it to people. It wants to give the most relevant answers. I'll make it easy. I'll take it away from the diagram into a list so that you can see things like, are social media influencers celebrities? Go record a video. 2 to 3 minutes. Doesn't have to be huge. You can go create short videos, long videos. You can pick 5 topics and do a whole show on it. It's given you the answer. What do I create content around? Biggest question we get asked, what do I create for? So you're answering people's questions here. So that's step 1. If I jump back to there, that's the video generation. So you've got the topics. If you've ever been asked anything in your business, that's a topic as well. If you've answered a question more than once, go and create a video for it, right? So similar to Gage and Dan creating answers to how to do things with StreamYard, super like useful, because people can go and they can use it. We call them digital assets for a reason. Create it once, let people access it multiple times, and it will help multiple people.
Tristan, I'm going to jump in here for a second, and just because we got a good question, I'm going to just intro that question by saying one of the things that we did for this video today was I asked the question, what's the #1 way you repurpose your live stream, right? And I made sure to speak it out loud. It's also written in the banner here. And one of the reasons I'm doing it, obviously, is to try and engage and create a conversation. But another reason behind the scenes is to get the YouTube algorithm to really pick up the transcoding, the transcribing of the video, and pick up this particular key phrase that we want to rank for, right? Yeah. And so this ties into the question that Barbara is asking, which is are the timestamps important in relation to search? So you talked about what's the topic. I said, okay, let's add some key phrases in the video. And Barbara is asking about timestamps. I love this. This is as geeky and nerdy as it gets.
I love it. Like, brilliant, absolutely brilliant question. So for those who don't know, for things like YouTube, it's really as simple as adding the timings in when things are discussed. So putting things into the description, like you can go, there's various tools you can use, but in there you can actually create by typing the timing in. So for example, right now we're 35 minutes. You just put 35:45 at this point in your description, and it would say, are timestamps important? So that Google wants to give the most relevant answer. So on your video, if you can direct someone directly to a phrase that's the answer to a question, Google's going to know this video has that content in. So you're feeding the algorithm at Google to get your video seen and ranked so that you show in front of the right people. And that's the short answer is absolutely, because you're helping Google's algorithm to understand what's in the content and then to direct it back through to someone who's searching for that. So Google can deliver the video as an answer. Obviously, they transcribe it, they know the words, but what you're doing is the description tells them where in the video it is by time. It does a bit on its own, but the easier you make it for Google, the more they're going to help you and rank your stuff. So really, really quite powerful way to do it with the timestamps.
Okay, so we can go back to maybe showing some more tools. So we saw you showing us, oops, wait, I'll show the screen here. So you showed us Ask the Public, which was awesome. Yeah. What else have you got? So we're obviously creating the videos. I don't need to educate people here. You're on Streamyard broadcast, use Streamyard, create your videos, download them through the link. I'm not going to go into laboring that one. We know that. So you've done your videos. If you want to go through to turning them into blogs and more written content and things like that, you want to get it transcribed. But before that, even more importantly than that, video 85% of the time is being watched with the sound off. If you haven't got subtitles on, most of the time, if you think logically, if you have kids and the kids are watching a show and you're on the sofa, if you play something on your phone, they're going to turn around and that's going to, cause an upset. If you wake up in the middle of the night and your partner's asleep, there's lots of things you can realistically see where that would happen and why it's so high. So if you put subtitles, people will still watch your video. If they can't, they'll scroll past. They'll go straight past because they can't see it, which is why Facebook and YouTube have created that automatic subtitling. It's not perfect, but it does some of the job, right? So subtitling, YouTube, Facebook, they're going to do it. If you want it to be right, go back and fix it. But in reality, it's getting done for you on some of the platforms. The beauty of that is there's an amazing tool there that you can use. The words have been written in some format for you already. So I'm going to show you really, really quickly. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. I don't want you just to hear this. I want you to actually see what's going on here. So I'm just going to go into YouTube Studio and show you really quickly. So we're just going to pick, go and find a video. So let's do this one. So I'm going to just going into standard editing of a video in the back end of YouTube. And then I'm going to go to subtitles over here. Now you can see it automatically creates you a set of subtitles in the language that you've chosen. So it's created an automatic set here. If you want to edit these subtitles, all you have to do is click this duplicate and edit, and it will give you all of this. This is the thing that was discussed that was in this video. Obviously, I can instantly see in that piece of content, my name is not capitalized. This isn't I'm Tristan G, so this would need tidying up. Capitalizations, line breaking, all of that kind of stuff. But it's done a lot of the work for me. So again,
You don't have to pay for lots of tools. There's lots of tools there to help you do this. Again, when you get this copy, think about the phrases that are the timestamp pieces that you want people to find and jump through the video. This obviously translates directly back into, if you want to write a blog, even if it's incorrect, if you have to correct it at the stage of blog, this speeds up your process and now makes it that you can write your blog from it. Titling, bullet pointing, doing all the good SEO stuff with it. You're now using your video effectively because you created a video that went to multiple platforms through Streamyard, subtitled it, and written a blog. So I want to give real numbers context to this, because when you understand how powerful it is by numbers, you're more likely to do it. So you do one video at the top, and the way we work, we're doing it recorded video. So this is slightly different for live, but let's use the example, right? So if you were to do a video here at about 30 minutes of video at the top, you're going to be transcribing that out. Per minute of video, you're going to be around about 100 words of written content. Based on, for me, it's about 200, but for most people, it's around 100 words. So 30 minutes, you're putting a really solid amount of content out that could be a series of blogs. It could be 4 blogs that have a good length and good depth. So have 4 clear things, which is why the structure of your live needs to be really, really good. Taking that and putting it to a blog, the video is one piece of content at 30 minutes. We're going to go to potentially 4 blogs. On that context of 4 blogs, you're now 4 blogs, but it's how many places can I post that? How many places? And we're going to embed the video so it can be found on your website, on a Facebook page, on a LinkedIn article, in a Medium, on Google My Business, across an industry website. That's going to allow people to discover the video because you embed the video into the content. Does that make sense? So,
yeah. So let me just grab a question here.
Yeah.
So Barbara is asking. Barbara is loving this conversation, I guess. So American versus UK spelling, does it make any difference from this perspective? You just stick to your own and go with it?
So it depends on if it's all your content. For me, it wouldn't make sense to have Americanized English on my channel because it's mostly my content and I speak UK English. So it tries to pick up the words and the spelling based on what your language is set against your channel. So you set a default against the channel that you're uploading to, and that's how it controls what it tries to guess. So it helps you to do that. So obviously, if you start working with other people and they're coming in through, there's Americans and English people on the channel, it gets a bit more complex. And obviously, if you're going through doing it.
Yeah, April's asking about hashtags and Facebook. Yeah.
So
hashtags pretty short.
Yeah, well, the hashtags in Facebook, people don't think they're that relevant. But if you just went and put the hashtags in for a particular thing, let's use social media as an example. If we type that into Facebook, in fact, let me go to my screen share and we can do it really quickly now and I'll show you. So if we go and create a post here, can you just go to screen share for me, Daniel? So if I type in here, social media, and I'm going to have to just zoom in so that you guys can see this. People don't think they're relevant, but what 8.8 million posts that have social media in. So there is a big conversation happening. So with search, it's the words, right? The words are relevant. If people are searching in the platform, they might be interested in that topic. And Facebook allows you, if I do this, I'm going to have to post this. This is the biggest I've ever seen this on my screen. So if I post this now, and zoom out so that I can get to it. So here, when I click this hashtag, it shows me the search. So for discoverability, this is now a whole page that you can follow. So this would then, if I follow it, which I already am, would show me that content in my feed. Notice that it shows you your most relevant content first. One of my pieces of content at the top of the hashtag, not because it's the top for everyone, but it's the most relevant to me in this search. Make sense?
Yeah, that's awesome because these hashtags, this whole thing is kind of new. This discoverability and the new hashtags, so it's just been relaunched, and I think we haven't thought about the SEO implications so much. So traditionally we thought about Facebook and SEO don't go together, but apparently that's not exactly the case. So that is really great.
Whenever you think about hashtags on any platform, hashtags are just a topic of conversation. It's curating a whole conversation together so that when someone wants to find it, it's easy for them to discover. They can click the hashtag in someone's post and find everything. It generally applies to industry specific topics of interest or locations. That's the general rule. So people have conversations around a certain area. If you're proud of where you live, you put your hashtags in so that other people in the area will find it, right?
Right, that's really great. And April was clarifying that she had that she was interested in hashtags specific to comments versus the posts. I'm not sure what you can elaborate on this.
I know why this question has come up. This question's come up because there was a whole thing with Instagram, and all the algorithms change on a regular basis. So people used to put up to 30 hashtags, which is what's allowed on Instagram. And then the advice was don't put them in the post, put them in the comments underneath, because you can still be discovered that way. The thing is, it's not actually the post that would then be ranking. It's the comment that would be ranking. Yes, it's within that. But if a lot of people used to do it and then remove the hashtags, the minute you remove them, you're no longer in that feed. So you're better to put less in and actually put them into the post so that people can see it and also discover and join more of the conversation. The idea is you're part of a conversation. You don't want to hide that. You want it to be public, that for me, repurposing, content creation, live streaming, they're things that I'm going to use regularly because I want people to know that's what I'm about. So be proud to, wear them as badges and have that conversation and be public on it. So yeah, use them in the post is, I guess, the short answer.
That's great.
So
we don't have a tremendous amount of time left. So I really wanted you to show one of the repurposed videos you made. Maybe show an example, and we can discuss maybe a couple of technicalities around that.
Yeah, so I just want to really quickly, it's going to take like 2 minutes to just whistle this last bit here because it's important to see numbers, is the blog side is 6 places roughly you could post to from one video. When you go to quotes from 30 minutes, you're going to pull, we average like 3 to 5 per 3 minutes. So you're going to get 50 social media updates. So this is because without the context of numbers, that you need to look at what happens afterwards. We're going to go straight across to videos because quotes and graphics, all you're doing is taking those, putting them on a background. So we'll skip past because I've got some examples there anyway. So we jump across to the epic style videos or Gary V, because people know Gary V does it with the timer bars, the nice backgrounds and stuff like that. I've actually got a really quick example that I'm going to bring in here. It's from someone else who's an Agora Pulse ambassador. So I saw Agora Pulse were in. This is a very nice example to bring in for this. Let me quickly find the video over here. So I'm going to bring it up on here. Am I on full screen? I think I need to. I'm just going to change my screen share so I can bring audio in.
Yep, go for it.
So this one. Oh, 1 second.
While you're doing that, I'm just going to shout out to Irina, Yaria, who, I'm not sure if that's in Spanish or in English, and my font is such that I can't tell the difference between an I and an L. But apologies if I didn't pronounce your name correctly. You were asking about the 5-minute limitation, and it seemed like there was a specific issue that you were concerned with. It's not relevant to this topic, but I just wanted to say that the 5-minute limitation that we have on uploading video clips into Streamyard is essentially going away this week. We have 2 different technologies we're bringing in, so that's good news. Everybody's loving that, and that's within a few days you'll have that. I've done
the changeover because I was on a full screen share, so I didn't have audio on, so I've just changed it to the tab just for a minute to show you this. So imagine this was a live stream. So this could be the conversation we've just had. Could be both of us on screen. This is obviously just one person talking. What we've done is we've taken this, repurposed it, and as I hit play on this, I'm going to jump into the middle so that we don't have to listen to the whole thing. You'll see subtitles are visible on the screen. This is the original video file, so we've burnt the subtitles into it, and we've also then added context to this. Talking about social media trends, as I hit play on this, I'm just going to play about 5 or 10 seconds here.
Over by the next new social network. So for government and public sector, you really need to cement your presence on Facebook, the public facing social network.
So you can see here, this is going through, you can see the subtitles on screen. You can also see context. There's falling like social icons. So if you were scrolling the feed, this is square, which is brilliant for so many different platforms. The timer bar that goes across gives you indication of how long is this video. So you can make an instant decision and commit to, am I or aren't I going to watch this? So with context of doing this, there's tools out there that speed this process up that you can use. We've never found one that's perfect, and we do this a bit of a manual process. So I'm actually going to change my screen to show you how we do this really, really quickly. We actually manually do it through video editing software. So we're big users of the Adobe suite. So for example, here, this is actually contextually using that tool where I have in here a master video, this is the original video. There's not many layers to it. The only extra bits you can see is the final screen that comes up. So there's just the original video that would be your download from Streamyard. And then I have a square setup that brings that into the middle. It's sized to the size of the screen. And as we go through this, you can see I've put different layers on. So this is the original video. As I go through, I can turn it on and off all the different layers. And it's basically adding extra elements to it that are eye-catching and grab attention. Because ultimately, the social media feed is about grabbing attention, stopping people, getting them to watch it. And the reason you do this is with this, you get them to grab 2 minutes here and they go, oh, that's really interesting. Now they want to watch the whole broadcast. So like 2 minutes of what we share here that goes in social will make people come and watch the 30 minutes or an hour that we've got for them to enjoy, where they can learn more. How do we engage them somewhere and bring them to somewhere else? So it's really powerful to bring it across. But again, this is Adobe Premiere. You could use Adobe Rush. I'm going to change back to my screen. I've actually got some resources I wanted to share with everybody on my other screen. Let's bring it over here. So I actually put together a page for people. So there's a whole resource section there, a load of tools that they can have a look at, which are here. So I'm going to drop this link as well. It's literally, if you go to itsnomad9.com/SY Tech Talk, it will take you to this page. I'll drop it in the comments afterwards. But there's a whole load of tools here. If you're creating a lot of content, the worst thing to do is create a lot of content and do nothing with it. We've got to find somewhere to store it. We need to use it. So like I'm a big ambassador for Agora Pulse because it allows me to schedule, to analyze how it's working. It allows me to look at what other people are doing. So there's a lot of tools you're going to need. Agora Pulse is great for social scheduling. I've put together a list of equipment that we use. So it's got softwares and stuff. Very early on when we went into lockdown and everyone was trying to do video, I actually did a warning about this conferencing softwares. So that's actually how I originally came across StreamYard, was obviously looking for solutions that will work for different things. So within this, we've actually put together software suggestions, and there's obviously a kit list here. So lights, tripods of different varieties and different price points, because people are in different places. Work within your budget, don't overstretch. I said this before, if you've got an old phone, it's good as a camera. So use the things that are relevant there. This on the page I've linked, there's other stuff like we didn't get to graphics, but it's quite easy. If you've used Canva, you might know Canva. Adobe Spark is a great product that's free to use. We use, again, Adobe Rush, like a compressed down version of Premiere that I just showed you from Adobe. We've got a couple of others in here. Missing letter. When you get to the point of the blog, so we transcribed it and put it as a blog on our website, Missing letter will pick that up from an RSS feed and create a whole load of other pieces of content for you, ready for you to publish. So you can do that, and it helps you to generate and pull all those bits out. If you had Nick Nimmin in, you probably had TubeBuddy mentioned in previous broadcasts. It's a way to look at the SEO, the points and things like that. What SEO, what tags, how we're using it, what content we're going to create. It sits as a Chrome browser plugin when you're on YouTube, and it helps you to guide you through that. This is probably one of my most important pieces of software, is the Google Workspace, or you might know it as G Suite. Without this, the business would not function the way it does, because every meeting, every live stream, every photo, every note, everything gets backed up into the cloud through Google for the price point, you can't fault it for the amount of productivity suite it gives you. And it's like when you first sign up, they give you like 20% off as well. So, you know, for even $20 a month to be able to store everything, access it ever, and do that, the workflow is really, really important. Relay that again, I've thrown in here some software suggestions.
Tristan, sorry to cut you off, but we're running out of time. So I wanted, first of all, for you to give the link to this resource page so people could find it.
Yeah, no worries.
You can also put, if you drop it in the private chat, I'll post it in the banner, and you can also post it in the comments for the show later on, so people can find it. There's some good stuff there for sure. And then once we get that done, while you're doing that, I'm just gonna comment on a couple of questions here. So there are a couple of questions about using Zoom or using OBS together with Streamyard, and we didn't address that at all today. We're going to have a show about exactly that: virtual cameras, virtual cables, all that kind of stuff. Using Streamyard, I use Streamyard together with OBS on Tuesday nights. I do a show called Subpellucid with Chad E. F. Peterson. And we use both together. It's really awesome, and he's going to be on a show to explain it. Another thing that I wanted to point out is that I'm looking for more interesting guests. We have a bunch of guests for the show for the next couple of months, but it's just the way it worked out that most of my guests are men, and I really want to have a diverse group of people here. So if you're from interesting parts of the world, if you're if you represent any kind of other group other than just the people who happen to be the first group of people that I have, which are men, then that would be awesome if you could join in and talk tech. So I would really appreciate that. So ping me personally. You can find me through the show posting if you're interested in joining in the show and showcasing your tech.
Yeah.
Okay.
With that page that I've linked on there, there's obviously the links to all the resources, the tools I've talked about. I'll add in Answer the Public in there because it wasn't on the page. But if people want that graphic, you can just go there, save it, screenshot it, press and hold to save it on your mobile. If you followed that whole system, one 30-minute broadcast will put you out more than 1,000 pieces of content. So if you follow the full process all the way through and you did exactly what we can do with that content, it will put out 1,000+ pieces of content. Just the red headings, if you didn't have time, just the red headings, so the video, the blog, and the quotes will give you 230 pieces of content from 30 minutes of video. So that gives you real, like, oh, I struggle to create content. Don't struggle anymore. Follow a process and get it done. Use the tools.
That is awesome. Well, since we're at the very end of the show, I would love for you, Tristan, to pick out a winner for our show. If you don't mind scrolling through the comments. I don't know if you can as a guest.
I've got the comments. What am I looking? Have we got a hashtag on it? Is it just a?
Yeah, I love Streamyard. If you could just pick.
Okay, let me scroll random. And stop. As soon as I see one.
Yeah, there are a ton of comments in there.
A lot of comments.
A lot of comments, yeah.
Barbara Edwards.
Barbara Edwards, okay.
There, yeah.
Yeah, she did the hashtag. Okay, great. So Barbara, I'll reach out to you. Definitely DM me personally. And I think you may have suggested in the comments that you might be interested in participating in the show. That could be awesome. So yeah, April just now posted her hashtag. Next time, April. We have plenty more shows to go, and there are also other shows that you can join in. We've got, of course, the town hall meeting every Sunday night. We've got the Ross Brand show, Streamyard Connect. We've got Dana and Kelsey show where they feature customers and just discuss with them how their business runs on Streamyard, which is really awesome show, really nice. Just an in-depth look at the customer base and the community, which I really, really like. And we even have only in the Streamyard community group, we have once or twice a month, we have Julie and Christian from the marketing team both doing a show on StreamYard tutorials. So really going step by step how to do different things, like creating intro videos for your streams, and so on. And so not a webinar on how to use StreamYard, but a webinar on different better streams. So thank you everybody for joining. Thank you, Tristan, so much for your time here. This was great.
Link that you put up, that link that you put up, to give people context, there's 3 days left on that. So whether you catch it on the replay, I'm picking someone at the end of the week, and I'm going to take one of your live streams and I'm going to put it through that process. So go to that webpage, the details are there. Make sure you've shared this broadcast as well, because if you haven't shared this, you're not getting entered. So make sure you've shared the broadcast and that you get a page to make sure that you can do it and get hundreds of pieces of content done for you.
Awesome. And that is a very generous gift. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, this is pretty much the end of the show. Thank you so much. You can continue the discussion in the comments if you want, and we will see you next week.